producing your own music. Now, when I produce my own music, I've got two starting points, right? The first one is I've got a completed song. Maybe there's a couple of lyric things that I'm missing, but I've got like maybe 90% of the thing done. And the other one is like I'm just sitting down to make something. But either way that is, they both start the exact same way. And when I'm doing it, it's always with a drum beat. I always start with a drum beat. Now, when I say that, I don't mean I play drums. I don't have the facilities in here to sit down and play my own beats yet. But I'll take a sample that I really like, or something that I've got from Splice that I like, and take it in and start to work with that. Because I feel that when it's the song that I've already kind of worked on, I've got a real idea of where the song's going. So if I know it's like a kind of heavier song, or if it's like, I don't know, more kind of groovy or something, like I kind of know where the beat is. So I know what I'm looking for. And luckily enough, when I use Splice, for example, like I can go in and search for specific terms, which will help me find that sort of stuff. Or I've heard them and I've just pulled them down and I've got them in a folder somewhere so I can go back to them. But that beat goes down first, and then I'll layer guitars over the top of it, or whatever the main instrument is, over the top of it as a ghost track, if it's the song I've already written. Because when I'm writing a song, I've got like 90% of it done. It's usually just a couple of lyrical things that aren't quite right, but I'll get in and the lyrics will come the more I listen to it, sort of thing. So I'll put in a drum beat, and then I'll put in a ghost guitar track, which I'll delete later, probably. But I mean, sometimes it's like a 50-50 chance, like I'll just keep it, depending on what it is that I'm doing. So, but the starting point is always the same, it's always with the beat, and I start layering instruments over the top from there. And it's the same if I don't know what I'm doing. If I don't have an idea yet and I just find something, I'll find a beat that I just like the sound of, or the rhythm of, and I'll put that in and start playing over the top of that. It's the same starting point for both. But what I find is, if I start with a sample, and it's more about the rhythm, I'll then go through, once I've got my instruments down and I know like I've layered my bass and I'll put my lyrics in, I can always go back and rework the drum beat. Like what I'll do is I'll redraw with specific, like different sounds that I like say I'm not too happy with the snare, because when you've got a sample you can't really, if you're going to change a sound of something, it'll affect the rest of the track. So I will take out bits and add in different snares and stuff and redraw the beat if it's not quite right. But if it's my written song, I've put my beat down, I've laid my guitars, ghost track, get my guitars, and I put a ghost vocal down that I'll just delete. And then that gives me enough to start bringing in other things, because there has been times where I haven't put that ghost vocal in, and then I'll put in like a lead line, or I'll put in something that I think sounds really good, and then the vocal just doesn't work over the top of it, and then I need to go back and rework it or delete that part. So that's the order that I do it when I'm producing my own music. It'll be beat first, ghost guitars, or a ghost main instrument, and then a ghost vocal. And if it's something that I haven't got written beforehand, again it will be beat, and then it'll be a guitar, and I won't get into the specifics of sounds and all that sort of stuff at this point. It is almost like just putting a wash or something on a canvas kind of thing, and then looking back at it and saying, right, well, I need to move this bit or whatever. But the specifics of sounds I don't really think about until later on. But I get the things down so I can start to layer on top of it and delete things, which is one of the luxuries we've got now with kind of modern music production. It wasn't something that was as easily accessible. To be able to have that at your disposal's the best way to work. I almost kind of feel like it is like drawn, like a circle, then like a square, then another circle and stuff like that. That's the way it feels like with music. It's like, right, well, there's the sketch drum beat, and there's the sketch guitar, and there's the sketch vocal, and then I'm layering a whole song again over the top of it, rather than try to finesse a part at that point. once all that stuff's down, don't get me wrong, like there's 400 takes of me not getting a note right. Like that's just part of of recording, especially by yourself, because there's no one there to tell you that actually sounds all right, and you've been listening to it for 3 hours. Like it's a very it can be a very frustrating thing as well when you're doing that sort of stuff. But that's how I produce my own music. I use Logic to record, but I used to use Pro Tools, and I have used BandLab, and I have used Ableton, but Logic seems to be the thing that just kind of works for me right now. There's certain things in Ableton that I'm not 100% on, and I think it's better to double down on the program that you know sometimes before you try and learn all the stuff. It's almost, to me, it's almost like learning a language. Like if you can't communicate to someone in a language, it's just more frustrations. It's like, I know how Logic works, and it probably, I'm using it. It might be that Ableton's a better program for me, but right now I'd rather invest the time in writing a song than learning Ableton. So that's another thing to bear in mind. Like, it depends. I don't see myself as an audio engineer. I really don't. Like, to go in and know certain frequencies and be able to work all those sounds and how compressors work and all that sort of stuff, that's not me. I just like making things that I think sound good. So if an audio engineer was to hear my stuff, they would probably remix it, pull stuff out, do the whole thing completely different. But that's not my skill set, and I think sometimes it's good to be aware that that isn't your skill set. So there's a lot of stuff that I've recorded and put out that if I was working with an audio engineer, it would have maybe been a better track. But to me, but that's like a kind of just an overview of like what I do when I'm recording and stuff. I'm looking up there all the time because that's where my stuff is. Like that's where my recording stuff is. So in the next video, I'm going to take you over the audio interface and some of the stuff that I use to record music. Okay, well thank you very much for your time, and go out and start making stuff, and don't worry too much about the ins and outs. It's better to try something and break it so that you've learned how to not break it.